2025 Pan America CVO. Let's rock and roll. All right, so here's the 2025 Pan America CVO edition. You may have seen me riding my 24, and these essentially are the same thing, but they have a really, really cool camo paint job on it, which I'm kind of coveting, actually. I kind of wish my bike had that. And they put the tall seat on here, so that's kind of nice. Still the same bike that you've seen all of these years. All the same features, a few little refinements here and there, but mainly the paint job and one other thing I'm going to tell you when we ride. So shall we ride? Let's go. Here we go. If you watch my channel, you know that I have had two Pan Americas now. I have a 24 and I had a 21. This is this as I was saying, I have one of these. It is a 24 model. This is a 25. What are the differences between the years? Nothing, except for the paint job and where they're made. You can stop the video now, or you can listen to me talk about a few things that I like about this bike that my bike does not have. First thing I will tell you is the country of production where they move these overseas is a little disappointing to me. Savings on labor costs, yeah, I guess I can see that, but I wonder about the quality assurance, if you will. The other thing that I was going to mention that immediately speaks to me about these bikes is the comfort level riding these is just really, really good. It's actually quite surprising when you ride this bike and you get on one bike and you get off and then you get back on this bike. These bikes just feel great. They feel great. They're plush on the suspension. They have a lot of power. You sit upright, so if you're on the shorter side, I'll tell you a little bit about what you have to do in a second. But right out of the gate, these bikes, they're just a lot of fun. There's a lot to like about them, that's for sure. 27.5 was the MSRP in 24. I think they went up another $1,000 now, but they're still less money than the BMW GS Adventure. And from being a BMW fanboy for many years, I really feel like these bikes outperform the German counterpart in several areas. One of them being maneuverability. They're small. These bikes are smaller. And the second being power. These bikes have a much better ability to spool up than the BMWs do. And again, maneuverability, going back to that, they don't have those stupid cylinder heads that like stick off the side. They get stuck on everything and you jam your shins into non-stop when you're off-roading. The 25 though, in this color paint, I really like it, and I really, really, really like the camo decal that's underneath the clear. And I wish that I could somehow retrofit my bike to that, but I can't. It's just a totally different. The other thing I noticed on this bike is that they have the handlebars turned up a little bit, which makes the geometry of the bike a lot different. A lot different. This bike, I feel more upright with the handlebars up, and on my bike they're turned down a little bit more. So I guess if you were shorter, it might be a little better, but I think I'm going to end up turning my bike up a little bit because I really, really like these. I mean, this is nice. Now, as far as the basics go about the Pan America, and I'll speak like, okay, maybe you're considering buying one of these, or you're in the adventure market. If you're upgrading from another model, like if you had a Pan America and you're like, okay, I want to know, should I get another one? if you had if you were an early adopter like me, 21, 22, and you had problems, don't let that sour you, because these bikes, they've changed everything on them. They have a different wiring harness. They have a different starter clutch system. The battery is different. The actual battery is different. They have a different battery tray, regulator. They just went through that whole problem that they had with the electrical system, and they really made it nice. A couple other things they did in the 24s plus models, they added some deflectors in so that when the radiator kicks on and you're in traffic, your legs don't go straight to Gehenna. It's better. It's a lot better. And speaking to the ride height, okay, they've introduced a lot more options. So, for instance, I'm 6'4" and I have somewhere around a 36-inch inseam. I can ride pretty much any bike out there because I'm tall. If you were on a 32-inch inseam on this bike with the standard seat and everything else, you would probably find yourself struggling tippy-toe when it came up to, the stop signs and stuff. On this bike, Harley understands that, so there's a couple tricks that they deploy. First off, this bike has adjustable height suspension that automatically lowers when you come to a stop. So the active ride system that this bike has is actually quite incredible. And I think another bike manufacturer is using it now, but Harley introduced that feature and I had never seen it before. Even being taller, I found it was very helpful when you were off-road in a situation where, the road kind of was wavy and you found yourself, maybe overextending trying to hit the ground. If you were going super slow, the bike would never rise up to the height the ride height. So that was refreshing. The other thing too that you can do, which I think is pretty awesome, is you can adjust the height of the seat without any tools or anything. There's these two notches, and it actually raises or lowers the seat by a whole inch almost, which that's substantial. The second thing you can do, besides for the seat height adjustment by physical, is you can buy different seats. They have a low seat, they have the standard seat, and then they have what they call the high boy seat, which adds an extra inch. So literally from the factory, you could go up 2 inches. You could have almost a 2-inch height difference just on the seat itself. And how that translates to when you're riding, if you're tall, you're not going to be as cramped. Your feet are going to be not as crunched up. And I also, speaking of crunched up, I do not want to get crunched up by this thing right here. I was like double trouble. Like if I went to the left, I would have turned into mulch. If I went to the right, I was going to jail. Because of the adjustability of the variations just in the seat height itself, if you're shorter and you want to get into an adventure bike, this is probably the bike to get. And actually, I would double down on that and say this is the bike you would want to get. Coupled with the ride height control, you really could drive this bike with pretty much anything. Now, I'm going to surprise you. And again, if you tune into my channel and you watch my videos, one of my friends, Darcy, who we lovingly call Grandpa 5000, he's shorter than me. He's probably 6 foot, maybe 6'1", and he took this bike out and its counterpart, the ST, out for test drives. And he came back and he said even with the low seat, he felt pretty comfortable. He enjoyed it. He really liked it a lot. So you can be a shorter rider and get into the adventure market with this bike. Now, if you're thinking about upgrading, again, and you're from one of the earlier models, you should know that I feel like they've refined the suspension a little bit more on the 24 and 25 model. It just seems to be a little bit more responsive than it used to be. If you put it in sport mode, the suspension definitely stiffens up. It's noticeable. It's a noticeable difference, but it's not obnoxious. In fact, even in sport mode on this bike, this road is quite manageable, and this road is quite bumpy. You don't feel the bumps really at all. Some of the Harley street glides and road glides I was riding that are on the ST model, they're the sport models, it was buckboard. So, you know, to feel that like this bike suspension performs the way it does, it's very sporty, but it can be turned down enough that it's actually enjoyable to ride as well. The brakes are great, although I will tell you about the brakes. One thing, the brakes are linked on these. So when you pull the front handbrake, depending on your lean angle, your pitch, your yaw, your ABS settings, all that stuff, they all have a proportioning system electronically. I don't really know how it works, but basically you squeeze the brakes and it will give you back, both front and back. One thing I noticed though, the back brakes on these, pretty lame. Like I'm just using the back brake right now and I can stop, but I mean, you got to put some serious downforce on there to make it happen. So we'll get one more rip out of here. My bike, I put the Screaming Eagle Street Cannon exhaust on it, and I just think it's amazing. It sounds so good. Immediately, if you buy one of those though, take the baffle out, because there's not much of an upgrade between that with the baffle versus what comes on this thing from the factory. Quick shifter. I mean, it's just an awesome platform. It really is. I really, really like these bikes a lot. I am so happy that Harley listened and fixed the problems, because this is just a dynamite bike. According to some reports too, this was the #1 selling adventure bike last year in the United States. And it was the #2 selling Harley-Davidson from their lineup. So that's pretty cool. If you're looking for a motorcycle that you want like a Swiss Army knife that can pretty much do anything, this is the bike to have. If you're in the market for an adventure bike, you really need to try one of these, because I think you might be pleasantly surprised. You think Harley-Davidson, you think potato, V-twin, archaic technology, but that is not what this bike is. This bike has a modern power plant, liquid cooled, a ton of power, excellent brakes, great suspension, technology up the wing wang. I mean, these are very, very good bikes. So thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you always watching the videos. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you have one of these Pan Americas, they're great. So let me know. Until next time, ride safe.